They've still got plenty of convenient ways to support you. Find your best options at les.com.
The wait is over. It's Truck Month at Anderson Ford, which means big selection and even bigger savings on Ford F-150s. Like lease a 2025 Ford F-150 for only $195 per month. The truck that's built to work hard and play hard. Another reason you'll experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1008409. Previous service letter. $195 per month for 36 months, 7,500 miles per year, 8,500 with type. Tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 3/31/26.
Looking for something fun tonight? Axe throwing, local beer, and great vibes are waiting at Arbor Axe House. From casual nights out to celebrations and team events, it all starts here. Reserve a lane today at arbораxe.com. Arbor Axe House at the corner of N Street and Antelope Valley.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This isn't any regular heat. This is nuclear heat. Live from the 93.7 The Ticket studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. Bringing you the latest from the Square Circle on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Jake Bakoven.
Yes, it is that time of the week. Time to talk some pro wrestling here on a Sunday evening. What a great time to do it as we are counting down the days. Storylines are heating up on the way to WrestleMania. We're seeing new superstars get their opportunities, some of them getting dropped, and plenty more going on here in the WWE. I'm Jake Bakoven. He is my tag team partner, Augie Pinion. We do this every week at 9, though I should say right away, next week is Easter. And as much as we do love pro wrestling, we also celebrate Easter. So might not have a show next week, but that's okay because WrestleMania is still 3 weeks away, at least as far as programming goes. So this next couple weeks will lead us right into it. And it's definitely heating up. It's fun this time of year, the weekly programming, because, all the way throughout the year, you're looking for feuds to heat up or big character changes, all that sort of stuff. Just about everything here is affecting WrestleMania in the plans that they have moving forward. There's a lot of matches. Of course, it's going to be a 2-day event once again, with some of it being on ESPN. So there's a lot of matches, a lot of time to fill, but still kind of getting pretty stacked in here as far as the card is going. Augie, welcome you in. First of all, good Sunday to you, and how's it going? And how are you enjoying your wrestling?
Oh yeah, it's good to be back. It's feels like it's been a while since I've been in the studio there, but yeah, it's been good. It's been a good Sunday. It's been nice and warm outside, and the wrestling's been pretty good this week. There's been a lot of storyline movement that's been going on. It's exciting. It's the WrestleMania card is really starting to build up, and there's some things I'm very excited for. And I'll be honest, there's a couple things I really hope don't make WrestleMania. Talking Jelly Roll. There that they seem to be trying to shove down our throats.
Jelly Roll's happening.
He's been on everything. But yeah, I think it's been pretty good, and I'm getting pretty excited for the WrestleMania card that they're building up for.
Yeah, the WrestleMania card is looking pretty good. Again, now as we look at the matches, and again, we'll go over the weekly shows and then kind of get into what's going to happen this week. Again, there's so much going on as they're packing this up. But as far as what we know for WrestleMania now, you'll have the undisputed WWE Championship between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. You'll have the World Heavyweight Championship between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. You have the Women's WWE Championship between Jade Cargill and Rhea Ripley. The WWE World Championship on the women's side between Stephanie McCure and Liv Morgan. We know the Intercontinental Championship on the women's side will be defended by AJ Lee against Becky Lynch. The U.S. Championship this past week. Now we know Sami Zayn and Trick Williams. Will Dragunov, Carmelo be involved in that? We'll have to see. But that was definitely a change this week. An unsanctioned match ahead of us for Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu. And then, of course, Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi. There's some other matches that definitely feel like they're on the way to WrestleMania, but have not been confirmed yet. So that's where you are with the card, and they'll continue going with it. Again, there's so many different places to start. We'll start in chronological order. We'll try to get through it all. A busy week of wrestling here. Start off with WWE Raw from Boston and open up with Paul Heyman chirping for Brock Lesnar. You never know when Paul Heyman's going out there. Is he on behalf of the Vision? This time, talking for Brock Lesnar. Lesnar comes out with an FAF5 shirt. So definitely, I was wondering, they seem to be setting that up for weeks, all for Paul Heyman to throw it out there. All right, put it on merchandise. That makes some sense. And he says that many great men have attempted to slay the beast. He talked about several former WWE superstars that are no longer with the roster, including Dean Ambrose. I was glad to hear a big pop for Dean Ambrose. I'm always a fan of his. But all this to basically say Obafemi caught Brock Lesnar off guard. Obafemi comes down to the ring. You see kids doing his little entrance in the audience. Comes to the ring. Brock attempted the F5, but gets dumped over the ropes. So now 2 interactions as of late. Obafemi getting the best of Brock Lesnar so far. We will see Brock Lesnar tomorrow. So that is also here as well. I do like Paul Heyman being with Brock Lesnar. Always a good voice for him. So I think all of this is working really well. I think this is, maybe it's just because it's coming up in front of us. Maybe it's because of Obafemi, his newness and all that. But without a championship involved, I think I might be looking forward to this match more than any of them at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We talked about it when Brock Lesnar, went out and challenged anybody. This was what we wanted to see, right? These were the 2 guys, and the storyline to get there was a little interesting. You didn't know if Obafemi was doing this on behalf of Seth Rollins, right? Coming out that storyline there, but him going over Brock twice. Brock is not really known to be a guy to put over talent. He's always kind of got to be the big beast. So to get it to happen twice is huge. And anything they can do. I mean, they're both 6'4". Oba's 310 pounds. Brock's like 290. So, you have real giant beasts in there. So that's going to be a lot of fun to see everything happen there and all that. And I'm excited. And then the whole Paul Heyman thing, he just looks horrible every week. He's doing such a great job with all that. So this is going to be a lot of fun. And, maybe they can do something, maybe a street fight or something like that to kind of add interest to it.
Yeah, I think so. One way or the other, I do think this is a special one that you put on ESPN too. For those that might not know who we're looking at here. If you haven't watched wrestling in several years, you come back and you see, okay, here's 2 giants going at it, and one you probably recognize, or at least among the more recognizable faces in Brock Lesnar. Moving on through the show, the Usos against the Vision. This was a non-title match, which I always think is funny because it lets you know there's going to be some hijinks throughout it. Late in the match, Logan Paul got ready to use his brass knuckles. Then LA Knight comes out and stops it. Jey Uso uses the brass knuckles, though, on Austin Theory and gets disqualified. Then he knocks out Logan Paul for good measure. So a lot of this was kind of interesting. There's people are wondering, maybe the Usos and the Vision will go all the way to WrestleMania. Maybe not quite there, but this obviously extends it. But a lot of this, again, is starting to develop Jey Uso's character as somebody that is a little bit hard to predict. And you and I, we're not always don't always love the yeeting, happy, smiley Jey Uso. But when he's got a little bit of edge to his character, I enjoy it. And this was one of those matches where it's like, okay, they're kind of throwing him off, trying to get you to figure out what's going on through his mind.
Yeah, it's been interesting, right? Because the one thing you don't want is another Uso versus Uso, right? To happen, which they're kind of teasing, but at the same time, not right there. But it's I think it's been a good turn for both characters. Jay's kind of just unhinged character, and Jimmy is the calm, level-headed one. And to kind of mix it all up and have it with Roman kind of on a mini bloodline level there. I think, that's been great. And, all their allies, CM Punk, LA Knight have, coming out to talk, and Jay's kind of, he's flipped on him, right? So he's kind of doing that. So it's been interesting. It's not the same old that you could be going with there, but it is a little interesting because, like you mentioned, this could go to WrestleMania, but then you look at the flip side of it, Seth Rollins, right? You think Logan Paul, Seth Rollins, but it does seem like, the Vision are going to probably get a title shot. And when you're 3 weeks, 2 weeks away from WrestleMania, right? You kind of don't want a championship match right before it, right? You want your stars there. So yeah, it could get there, but then you see what you do with the rest of the roster.
Yeah, no, it's kind of interesting because in the back, and this was maybe just setting up for later. Afterwards, the Usos were talking with LA Knight, and basically, LA Knight started kind of bring up that bloodline stuff, and Jey Uso basically told him, "Don't say anything about the family." So, maybe you can have a turn there at some point to get these guys going. As our resident LA Knight supporter, a little bit lost here going into WrestleMania. Are you hoping? Are you thinking something here with the Usos spark up? I mean, he's right there with the Vision, but it all feels just maybe underneath quite WrestleMania status.
Yeah, what I think is going to end up happening is he'll be in the Andre the Giant battle royale that
yes,
is your favorite,
the biggest honor.
All year. Yeah.
That's right.
Hey, if he wins it, he could get a push next year. Something we've been saying, but yeah, it's a little frustrating because he no feud. He's kind of just here. He's an ultimate good guy, right? That just shows up and helps everybody, but there's no storyline for him. So unless he's going to be a cheerleader in one of these or cost somebody a title match, yeah, he's, unless they slap something together and they're, I don't even know what they could do, at this point. There's no triple threats. There's no, and the triple threats or the fatal four ways that there could be, there are main players already that are kind of in the wings for certain things like that. So yeah, he doesn't have anything, and it is very disappointing. He could be the host, he could be somebody that shows up and does that. But yeah, it's hard because this is somebody that's has had multiple title chances, has had multiple huge storylines, is always a guy that goes after, the big titles on a Monday or Friday and just never gets it. So yeah, it is disappointing, but I mean, we'll see him in one way or another. Just won't be in a storyline match.
Yeah, it's still strange. His biggest win still might be over Seth Rollins in an injury, a fake injury in obviously fake wrestling. So
yeah.
I don't know, very confusing. That was all about Seth, not a whole lot about LA Knight. Still think they could have done more with him driving off with Paul Heyman in an ambulance. Maybe got something funny out of that. They didn't milk that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens ahead for him. It's hard to imagine from the reactions he was getting a few short years ago to even still, obviously being a hot act in the crowd, to not make the WrestleMania card. So we'll have to see if they've got something in store for him. They do have something in store for Becky Lynch and AJ Lee. Becky Lynch had a promo out there and presented kind of as a top heel rather than kind of a chicken bleep heel in this case, which I appreciate, and was kind of wondering, like, how do we get back to a serious matter between Becky Lynch and AJ Lee after a bunch of kind of a silly feud to a degree at this point that's already been played out, at least in the very least, right? And so this is kind of the way you're able to do it, turn Becky Lynch back into the woman she claims to be, the one that Sports Illustrated and Bleacher Report rank as the number one women's wrestler of all time. Of course, has headlined WrestleMania before. So, I thought they leaned into that, did pretty good. The one thing that bothered me here was when she admitted that her daughter cheers for AJ Lee now, like one of her favorite wrestlers. And then AJ Lee used it right against her in the promo when she came out. And it's just like, I get it. All this stuff, you have to find a way to get it going, but just to give your opponent ammunition there, and obviously doing so is kind of strange. But the whole idea of this was Becky Lynch was goading AJ Lee to come out and challenge her. She does. So it makes for a very interesting matchup at WrestleMania. One we thought was going to happen. We're wondering how they would get there. Again, I think they probably could have ironed out a little bit more, made it a little more interesting going in, but still one that I'm interested to see. In the promo, Becky Lynch said she murdered the Divas era. So, you've kind of got the two eras going there as well. Are you excited for this match? Of course, we've seen it now a few times. AJ Lee hasn't been back in wrestling a whole lot, so it's exciting just to see her one way or the other. And this is the feud that they've been definitely putting on a tee for the last half a year.
I am, but I'm just gonna admit I don't know what it is. I just don't think AJ Lee is great on the promos.
Yeah,
and I think Becky is really trying to oversell. Like when she's like, when AJ's like, oh, you know what? I know what you want. You want this WrestleMania match. It's like, you know what? Fine, I'll give it to you. And Becky's like, oh yeah, I know she's being like that, but it just doesn't hit for me. I don't know. I don't want to be labeled a hater or anything, because I know I mentioned it now a couple times with AJ Lee and her promos, but it just, something about it is just not really working for me, right? Like this should be an all-time WrestleMania match that we got going. This should be something that everybody should just generally be excited about. And I still am, but I don't know. I felt that was weak. There was no real reason for AJ Lee to say, let's,
I mean, she wants to be a fighting champion.
I mean,
she said that before, but
other than that,
right.
I mean, there was no reason for her to be like, oh, Becky, you want this match? Okay, I'll give it, no reason for that. I wish there would have been a better, I don't know, they brought something up again or, more reason. Now it's just, here we go, just going at it. The stakes are kind of gone because, AJ's beaten Becky now every time, every opportunity she's had. And, if Becky doesn't win, then what was this for? Right. Because this was all just AJ. So I don't know. I'm still excited for just, we criticize, right? That's why we're here, right? We're here to say things like that. So yeah, it'll be fine. They need this. They need to, AJ Lee can go down as one of the best divas of all time, and Becky Lynch is obviously one of the best wrestlers. So if they want to incorporate that into storyline, I think that could be really cool. They're fighting for kind of that reputation there, but just right now, it's just another, like you said, we've seen this now 3-4 times. So here we go again, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I agree with you too. AJ Lee's like fun. The Black Widow is definitely unique. It's any move called the Shining Wizard is funny. Yeah. But I've noticed on the mic and I didn't watch a whole lot. Everybody kind of has their break from wrestling. Mine was somewhat the AJ Lee, CM Punk era when I kind of tuned it out. And so, I have kind of an interesting viewpoint of her, but I didn't understand in totality, like how big of a wrestler is she? And it seemed like it kind of wore off rather quickly, at least as far as like the crowd reaction. And it might be because the promos aren't probably her strong suit. So we'll see kind of what they do here moving forward. Again, this is one of those feuds, and some of them are like, oh, they're heating up, they're getting exciting. This one's like, man, they still have 3 weeks of programming to get to WrestleMania. What are we going to do that's different? Again, this one wasn't a whole lot different. You just kind of changed Becky Lynch's threat level, right? Yeah. But again, to your point, the problem that I had with this is you already had the big AJ Lee defeats Becky Lynch for the title moment. Becky Lynch has already had the title twice this past year. It's not the biggest title. It's not, Becky Lynch isn't going to be putting 3-time Intercontinental Champion at the top of her list of accomplishments if that is what happens. So it does feel, and that's when they were kind of letting Bayley get in a shot at AJ. I was like, are they going to do something different? And that's why we kind of think maybe something to heat this up still in the next coming weeks might be necessary. I'm not saying a third party, but like you're saying, maybe a match stipulation. Because it's weird, there's a lot of feuds, and with the star power in this feud, you'd think it'd be good. They just milked it for so long, and have already done it. So, I get it. It's the greatest stage of them all. And maybe that's what they're going to do. Becky Lynch has been historically pretty good there. They kind of leaned into that a little bit. So we'll see. I just think they've got to get creative with this feud in the next coming weeks.
Yep. Yeah, they got to do something with it. Because you look at the other side, the U.S. title, you have Tiffany Stratton, a young upcomer. Julia. I mean, that's nobody. But you could have had an opportunity like that, right? I know AJ Lee, Becky Lee on paper, everybody would look at that and be, well, this is great. But you said they kind of ruined it at, oh my gosh, what was the event they just had in Chicago?
Well, now you're gonna get me in trouble because I can't think of the Premium event.
No, the Royal Rumble was in.
So it's Elimination Chamber. Elimination Chamber.
They didn't have to do it then. They could have saved it for WrestleMania and had AJ chasing the title the whole time. But I think that's kind of what ruined it. And we talked about it then. We're like, it could be good. I think, now that we're a month or two away from that, I think that was probably the wrong choice for them to do it then.
Yeah. I think they could have slow played this, or at least, put it to the side for a while and then kind of have it pop back up here. But here we are. Again, I think it'll be a good match. We'll just see if they heat up the storyline a little bit. We go from that to Javon Evans against Grayson Waller. Evans was spotlighted in this match. This was, kind of a showcase for him. Waller was bickering with Kofi Kingston, who refused to help out, didn't want to get a DQ there. So maybe going to have problems with Grayson Waller in the New Day there. But again, just another opportunity to show off Javon Evans, who might not be a surprise. We can go over this pretty quickly. He's a guy that, they might want to find a multi-man match to get in because You think about, the Oba family, some of the new blood on the roster, and, the Trick Williams now getting into it. He's a guy that they've been impressed with. They've pushed. There's getting TV time, but there's nothing obvious in front of him as far as WrestleMania.
Yeah, and this is where I know it's now turned into a tradition. I'm going to bring this up just because you love it, but the Andre the Giant Memorial, I don't think that needs to be on Friday Night SmackDown anymore. If you're going to have 2 nights of WrestleMania and so much of a pre-match, pre-card, whatever it is, put that back the first night of WrestleMania beforehand and have all these guys that don't have anything, boom, there you go, right?
Yeah.
Because it's still slotted for Friday, right? This year, I think.
I'm sure. Yeah. They just kind of fall into that. Yeah.
But, they could have made that a thing, right? They could have made it.
When it started, that's how it was. It felt a lot bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. They could have been like, hey, we're bringing it back this year. And then they're naming contestants throughout the week, and they fill it up. Dude, put 80 people in that thing. I don't care. Have it like a 2-hour long battle royale before WrestleMania, right? Because all you have right now is just a lot of other stuff. But yeah, they'll have to, I don't know what they'll have for Javon Evans. But like I said, unless they do something like that, there's just a lot of stars or young upcoming stars that look like they just won't have matches at WrestleMania, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then maybe you put some historical thing like the winner also gets a chance at Backlash. I think that's what's kind of hurt it over the years too. It's like, all right, they're the winner. Now what? Well, I don't know. They'll carry it around. Somebody will break the trophy and we'll forget about it in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And that's kind of what they've been going with. But to your point, Solo Sikoa, Sheamus, Rusev, there's a lot of guys that could fill out and have a star-studded rumble in this case. And so we'll see what they do. But right now he looks like from the outside in, but still obviously young, getting TV time, doing well there. Paul Heyman not taking much of a break tonight after his duties with Brock Lesnar. He came out to address Seth Rollins and tried to get him out of the audience. So he had to talk some trash as he usually does to provoke Rollins to come out of the audience. Rollins does. And Heyman talked enough to get Rollins to come out and physically attack him. This was after he told him that he had a restraining order on him and had the police there. So Rollins was arrested after hitting Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman obviously getting what he wanted. Maybe a creative way to get Rollins in the vision. If Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed aren't ready, maybe this is you can kind of put it to the side for now, or maybe that's what they usually with Rollins. You think it's one thing, then he shows up and does something different. Yeah. So at least maybe you get him off off television for a few weeks. So very creative, very interesting how they went about this, because Paul Heyman was left in the middle of the ring alone and is like, all right, well, what are we going to do? And he's going to call out Seth Rollins. So like, all right, what's the plan here? But I always like that the police get involved here. Nevertheless, like less than a week ago, 2 guys were like pushing each other off a building.
Yeah.
They don't want to get involved there. But yeah, if there's a restraining order, you got to come in.
Yeah, I love. What did Paul Heyman say? He said he was a snitch.
Yeah, he's bragging about it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not a fighter, I'm a snitch, and I was laughing. I was like, okay, where are we going with this? But yeah, it's very creative. And I mean, have we even heard anything about any of the B-boys, Bronson Reed or Braun Breaker? Is there, I don't know, is there a slight chance that one of them is able to come back? Because I know Braun Breaker has the hernia, right? And then Bronson Reed tore his bicep or tricep.
Yeah.
I don't have those, so
some muscles, I guess.
Yeah, some muscles you can build, but I never did that. So I don't know how long that takes, but I mean, if Braun Breaker could come back and there's a surprise, Seth Rollins, something like that, or Paul Heyman interaction at WrestleMania, he's kind of there, they're confronting, and then boom, you hear the music and comes Braun Breaker. I think that'd be perfect.
Maybe some prison time will do Seth Rollins well. Remember Dominic Mysterio, his whole run came after he went to prison. There wasn't much special about his character. Then he kept turning into Dirty Dom.
He was in jail for what, one night or whatever.
So, yeah.
And then they turned that into his whole personality. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So we'll see if another trip to prison for one of the wrestlers can get things going there. Then we had Bayley and Lyra Valkyria take on the Kabuki Warriors. This one kind of as to set up to who was going to challenge for the tag team titles. Plenty of near falls here, kind of telling the story that Bayley couldn't quite put away the competition. She does eventually Bayley to belly Asuka on the announcer's table, allowing Valkyria to hit Nightwing on Kairi Sane for the win. And then afterwards there, Bailey went ahead and challenged Nia Jax in Lash Legend, the Irresistible Forces, in Madison Garden this week.
Yeah, that was fine. I thought it was a good match. I'm still curious about, what Bailey's is she just a good guy now? Did they just fully flip
They
her
seem to have kind of forgot about the whole unstable which way she's gonna go. Yeah,
because it seems like the last couple weeks or months she's just been good. Maybe that's to catch us off guard, and then boom, she's gonna be bad. But if there's not like a tag team turmoil type thing at WrestleMania, it's gonna be 2 years in a row that Bailey is pretty much not on the WrestleMania card.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost to a point. I don't know. They've almost overdone it, right? To the point now where if she turns on Lyra, it's like it's almost lost the connection to what it was originally. So might have to come up with something different there. I'm interested to see if they win this week because I'm feeling, you're going to get probably a four-way battle there for the women's titles, and we'll talk about it a little bit. That is if everybody is healthy. But Charlotte and Alexa have already held the titles. Bella's, of course, in the past. Irresistible Forces have them now, and now you have Bailey in Lyra. Does Bailey and Lyra need to kind of go over, maybe come up short? Maybe that's the story at WrestleMania. Maybe it's the Bellas winning, but it sure isn't the Irresistible Forces winning it all. They're kind of the bad guys here, but man, talk about lack of a crowd reaction with them. They need to work on that as well. So, I'm interested. I think that they could win and almost be set up like, hey, we've got a bunch of teams that have won it before, put it together. Who's going to crown it out at the end of the year?
Yeah, that's like you said, that's where it looks like it's heading. And I think Bailey and Lyra do need it, although they're probably my second least favorite tag team that's going to be in there. I like Charlotte and Alexa and the Bella Twins, obviously more. And I just want to real quick, how about after they win, did you Bailey's interview that she gave? She's like, next week in the greatest arena of the world. And they're in Boston.
Yes.
And they were going to be in Madison Square Garden, and she got booed, and she tried to save it by, how about the something? I don't remember what she was saying, and got no cheer. And she's like, you know what? It works. Hey, that's good. I was like, that has to go down as one of the worst promos she's probably ever given because of that slip up there. What are the writers doing to her? Because in that instant, the whole city of Boston just hated her.
Yeah, that was funny because there's, you got to know where you are and understand the rivalries that go on beyond it. It's funny because most of the time WD is pretty good, almost too good. Like they'll bring up, this your team sucks or whatever. Here's your playoff drought, whatever, and get some heat on the bad guys. But yeah, I mean, sometimes there's just that nobody through writing this the whole time thought just for a second, it's always like that when the hype a matchup and it's like, yeah, let's do this next week from Indianapolis, and you're just like, well, we were hoping you would say right now, but to go out there and I get it, they got it, they're trying to get it to they're trying to obviously promote that they're going to be in Madison Square Garden next week. But if you set up Boston the week ahead, you got to realize the crowd you're going into isn't a big fan of Madison Square Garden. So I'm glad you caught that. I caught that too. I just forgot to write that down.
Yeah, I was just sitting there and I was like, that was rough. That whoever approved that or was a writer for that is going to get yelled at by Triple H because that was bad.
All right, we are about three-fourths the way through Raw. We've still got a little bit of show to talk about, as well as SmackDown when we come back on the road to WrestleMania. This is Nuclear Heat on 93.7 The Ticket. We'll be back after this break.
The wait is over. It's Truck Month at Anderson Ford, which means big selection and even bigger savings on Ford F-150s. Like lease a 2025 Ford F-150 for only $195 per month. The truck that's built to work hard and play hard. Another reason you'll experience better at Anderson Ford. Stock number 1008409. Previous service letter. $195 per month for 36 months, 7,500 miles per year, 8,500 with tax, title, and license fees extra. Residency restrictions apply. Program subject to change. Must take new retail delivery from Anderson Auto Group by 3/31/26.
Looking for something fun tonight? Axe throwing, local beer, and great vibes are waiting at Arbor Axe House. From casual nights out to celebrations and team events, it all starts here. Reserve a lane today at arbораxe.com. Arbor Axe House at the corner of N Street and Antelope Valley.
At Schwezo Construction, safety isn't just a policy, it's a promise. Build with us. Work safe, go home proud. We're hiring skilled craftsmen, laborers, concrete workers, and steel erectors who value quality work and a team that has your back, on and off the job site. If you're ready to be part of a company where your safety and success come first, visit schwizo.com. That's SCHWISOW.com and apply today. Schwizo Construction, 40 years strong and still building the future.
All right, Lincoln, if you're a diesel technician who's ready to earn up to $40 an hour and you're tired of working nights and weekends, listen up. Inland Truck Parts and Service is hiring experienced diesel technicians right here in Lincoln, and they're offering what every hardworking tech wants. Monday through Friday hours, no nights, no weekends, and paid training on advanced diesel technology. With 37 locations across 12 states, career advancement opportunities are endless. Start building towards your future and apply today at inlandtruck.com. That's inlandtruck.com. Or text APPLY to 785-369-1320.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
In communities like ours, local relationships still matter. At Insight Partners, we believe we are better together. That's why insurance agencies across the Midwest have joined Insight Partners to better serve local customers and communities with all their insurance needs. From personal to commercial or specialty insurance, your local Insight Partners team is here to help protect what matters most. Insight Partners, better together. Learn more at myInspartners.com.
Want to make the easy call? Call John Henry's. From leaky pipes to a broken AC, flickering lights to furnace fights, even drains and duct cleaning, we've got it handled. Plumbing, heating, air, and electrical, all under one trusted roof. Proudly serving homes across Lincoln, Omaha, and surrounding areas and ready 24/7. Visit calljh.com or call John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air,
and Electrical.
Are you tired of living in pain? At Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, they make it simple. From head to toe, spine to extremities, they've got you covered. Their multi-specialty team of experts in orthopedic surgery, plastic surgery, podiatry, physical therapy, and occupational therapy all work under one roof to get you back to living life pain-free. Don't wait another day. Visit prairie-ortho.com today or call them at 402-489-4700. Prairie Orthopedic and Plastic Surgery, where healing begins.
Imagine starting your day with a computer glitch that leaves you feeling stuck, frustrated, and unable to get your work done. You have 1,000,001 things to get done today, and waiting for the tech issue to solve itself isn't one of them. It's time to let Hamilton handle the tech so you don't have to. We help businesses across the state spend more time on what they do best and less time frustrated with office technology. As the official business IT partner of the Huskers, we're focused on providing custom solutions that set you up for success now and in the future. Connect with us today at HamiltonIsBusiness.com.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bakoven, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We're back here talking pro wrestling here on a Sunday night. This is Nuclear Heat. We do it every week. Of course, we will be out, though. Next week is Easter. We're leading up to WrestleMania. Got plenty to talk about as we got, I would say a little over halfway through Raw here. We can pick up where we left off, which was the Intercontinental title match with Penta and Dom Mysterio. Of course, with Mysterio comes out Liv Morgan. Stephanie Vaquer attacks Liv Morgan in a brawl that spills into gorilla position. Didn't seem to bother Dom too much as he was in control of the match for a big part of it. Went up for a frog splash to finish the thing off, and Finn Balor's music hits. He comes out, takes out JD McDonough. This distracted Dom, who got rolled up for the pin by Penta. Balor then attacks Dom, stands tall to end the segment. Very interesting. Obviously, we've talked about it. Would really still like to have the Intercontinental title on Dom if they don't have any more plans for Penta. I think he got challenged by Vikingo of AAA for it, so I think they got some plans and you know, moving around with different promotions and all that. But that still feels like it's just missing a little bit of that. I would have liked to have done that, and I only say that because again, here you have another Intercontinental match with the same as when Penta won it. It's the second storyline. It is falling below the top storyline, which again is maybe why they're trying to propel it moving forward, onward and upward with that, and then figure you could get something else with Penta. But that's the only thing I can kind of see here. And then the other thing, and I love Penta, but they've been kind of following the same pattern here. Is Penta's losing, Penta can't do it, Mexican Destroyer win, and then it's like, okay. So, again, I think that as much as I called for the last year for Penta to get a belt, and then they do it, now I'm complaining about it. But just an observation there. It doesn't seem like he's been the central focus of his own Intercontinental title reign so far.
Yeah, but in our defense, because we're both kind of in that same boat, right? We wanted Penta to be doing things. Don't give him the belt when the Judgment Day is finally cracking, and you took it from Dom, and Finn could have been chasing Dom with that title, and it just would have made the storyline that much more interesting, right? And like you said, Penta, yeah, they have some AAA stuff and things like that, but I mean, that's not a crowd eater, right? That's not WrestleMania to me, because the casual WWE fan, which is us, out there, I'll say, we don't follow other promotions, right? We just don't have, unfortunately, all that time to do it. So, and I think that's a large part of the WWE universe. And if you're going to have Penta, your Intercontinental Championship, not have maybe a title defense against somebody on the roster, somebody well-established WWE roster, that's a missed opportunity. So if you're going to go down that path, you might as well just kept Dom. So I agree with you 100%. But the whole Finn Judgment Day, I think that's been amazing, right? It's been great. It's been everything we wanted. Only complaint is they should have kept that title on Dom, just like you said, so that way Finn could have been chasing him. And man, can you imagine? That just would have made this storyline 10 times better there.
Which is interesting. I don't know, again, what the plan is for Penta. Maybe they fight through this and then have the Intercontinental title match be multiple. Maybe Penta's in there with Jamie McDonough as well as Finn and Dom. I don't know where this is going to land. I think Finn and Dom is big enough. It certainly is big enough if they allow it to be. But of course, you got to write it with that as well. So we'll see. Apparently this week, Finn will address the Judgment Day. Maybe can get some more clarity on that story moving forward. Expect that to be a WrestleMania match. They announced some this week. Maybe that will be the announcement here as well. Penta, for what it's worth, will be fighting. I think it was made official today, Kofi Kingston, after a little Twitter feud there tomorrow. So maybe start to separate the Penta from Judgment Day, the Intercontinental title from Judgment Day, and he can get something rolling here again. But WrestleMania's 3 weeks away, so if you do put a feud together, it's not going to be something that's all that heated up unless you do something wild. So we'll see what they do. Again, big fans of everybody involved, so at least everybody's getting TV time there. To close out the Raw from Boston, CM Punk calls out Romans. The Usos come to the ring. Jay is heating up while Jimmy is trying to get him to focus on the tag team title. So Jay still, remember earlier in the night he used the brass knuckles and got disqualified. So his head's not in the right place, right? Is what they're trying to say. So Jay says he ain't even here, but I am. Then Roman's music hits. He comes out. He orders the Usos out of the ring. CM Punk says they should stay because Roman's going to need him. Roman responds with a Superman punch. Things get physical. Jay is ordering Roman to get him and smash him, which is interesting. He doesn't ultimately do that, putting CM Punk through the announcer's table. But CM Punk kind of laughing as although he's beaten up, is kind of laughing as we go off the air because he knows he's gotten in Roman's head. Now Roman feels like he needs the help. But again, you got to be careful with these storylines. At a certain point, is it best to have Roman in a loose cannon Jey Uso? Like, yeah, you can continue to argue, hey, you need help, this and that. You're going to go into a match with him. You don't want to be inciting that he puts the bloodline back together and put, all these different obstacles out there again. So kind of interesting. They're trying to continue this kind of head game between the two about who's in each other's heads. And so in that way, this kind of worked out. Now the question is, how much is Jey Uso going to be involved in the storyline moving forward?
Yeah, it's really interesting because it really shows flashbacks of what the bloodline was, right? Roman bossing them around, them doing everything. The crowd really ate that up too. I noticed that it was all great things. So I think this is fun. At WrestleMania, it's just hard because what would be the payoff at WrestleMania, right? Does Jay interfere? Does Jay get involved and cost Roman, or something like that? But then, we know after WrestleMania, nobody, that's when especially right after WrestleMania, not the Monday after, but kind of like the weeks. That's kind of when, viewership dies, goes down, and lesser stars kind of take over. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but man, I'm really loving what's going on, especially to see, as you said, CM Punk was driven through a table and everything and was still just laughing, because he knew what he had done. And then, the Usos being there, like I said, it almost feels like, Jimmy and Jay want to help Roman, but, every time Roman tells him to do something, you just see Jimmy's eyes are like, like, okay, but, don't talk to us like that. And it's a lot of fun to see.
Yeah, it is. They've, again, I don't know why they went away from the bloodline the way that they did it. Mm-hmm. Again, it was good for weekly television here and there. But I think the WWE's better with that back together. So we'll see if they pull the trigger on that. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we can give a full segment there to SmackDown. That's what we'll plan on doing right after the break here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Bauer Underground has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know that the best workers in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and a pedigree of success. They're offering top-notch benefits, a matching 401k, and a $600 per year clothing allowance. Bauer Underground, a family-friendly company with plenty of room for advancement.
A lot of businesses say they're family-focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740. Gentlemen, are you ready for something beyond the ordinary haircut? At Scissors and Scotch Lincoln, they blend your old school barber feel with your favorite watering hole. Sink into a comfy chair, unwind with a complimentary drink, and let their master barbers handle the rest. It's not just grooming, it's an experience. Whether you're prepping for a big meeting, needing to get cleaned up before family comes to town, or just need a little time to yourself, Scissors and Scotch Lincoln delivers sharp style every time. Book now at Scissors and Scotch in Lincoln, just south of 30th and Yankee Hill Road.
This is Grant Wister. I spent a lot of years trusting teammates to do their job so I could do mine. That's the same thing I wanted to build with Champ Roofing, a group you can just trust to handle it. Roof damage, siding, gutters, inspections, and repairs, we cover it all. Headquartered in Lincoln, but serving the whole state. Champ Roofing is your choice for premium roofing, siding, and gutters. Visit champ-roofing.com or call 402-858-7449.
Sandhills Global is growing right here in Lincoln. With our expanding campus and continued growth, we're hiring across a wide range of careers, from interns to experienced professionals. Join the team at Sandhills Global and build your career with competitive pay, great benefits, and real opportunities to grow. Visit sandhills.jobs to view openings and apply today. That's sandhills.jobs.
When it comes to concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction doesn't stall. They go for the takedown. As Nebraska's full-service concrete contractor, they stay in bounds, hold inside position, and never forfeit quality. Whether it's foundations, flatwork, or concrete coatings, they elevate performance and pin down results that win every time. Stevens & Smith Construction is a proud sponsor of Takedown Tuesdays on 93.7 The Ticket. Because when it's time to wrestle with concrete, Stevens & Smith Construction slams expectations.
Hey, baseball fans, join the Blur Tailgate at Hilton Omaha this June for their 14th annual hospitality event during the College Baseball Championship Series. Book an experience for your clients or employees with an exclusive bar, buffet, TVs, music, and tailgate games. Secure your spot today and let Blur Events take care of all the work so you can enjoy the day. Plus, they're just steps away from Charles Schwab Field. Visit blurevents.com to book your group, buy tickets, or learn about sponsorships. That's blurevents.com, your college baseball and football tailgate destination.
There are so many realtors in Lincoln and Omaha, but don't get overwhelmed by all the no-names, plus all the different companies. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Real Estate is your go-to option, whether buying or selling residential, luxury, leasing, investment properties, or commercial property, small or large. Ben's team offers decades of experience, unbeatable customer service, and promises to fully protect your interests throughout the entire transaction. Call 402-419-6309 for all your real estate needs. Ben Bleicher with Professional Realty Group of BHHS Ambassador Real Estate.
Red Custom Homes in Lincoln honors our fighting men and women of the military and all of the veterans who have gone before. We salute you and thank you for your sacrifice. We understand freedom comes with a price. Our prayers go with you and your families. Stay safe, stay strong, and may God bless America. This military tribute from Red Custom Homes in Lincoln, serving the community for 15 years. Call 402-499-6784. Saluting those who make our country stronger.
Back to Nuclear Heat with your host, Jake Bakoven, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back. Let's talk some SmackDown here on Nuclear Heat, as we've got one final segment here. SmackDown started with Randy Orton opening up saying he's been thinking about title number 15. Also, they've kind of been playing with the idea, is he hearing voices in his head? And what are the voices saying? Of course, that's been great. His song, now everybody likes to sing as he comes out there. Matt Cardona came out and attacked him with a microphone. Kind of strange. I don't know why Matt Cardona... nothing against Matt Cardona. This just seems like an odd feud for, kind of filler spot for it. So he played the part, but it was kind of strange here. Do you like the kind of hearing voices in his head, Randy? Because they really leaned into that too. He went in the backstage and was talking to the GM and saying, if you don't let me do this, the voices are talking. It's going to be worse if you don't let me get in a match with him. Because Matt Cardona in storyline has a broken arm. It's in a cast.
Yeah. I do like it. Maybe not so much if Randy wasn't talking as much, maybe if he was just, everyone, I have voices in my head. He was really animated on Friday about it. But yeah, the Matt Cardona thing just threw me off. I'm like, what was the point of this? What is Matt Cardona trying to do here? Don't tell me Jelly Roll is going to be the guy that takes out Matt Cardona. I'd be so disappointed if something like that were to happen. But yeah, I like it. I want the unhinged Randy Orton, and because Cody has said it. He wants that version of Randy Orton at WrestleMania, and I think that's what every fan wants. Is we want 09 punt everybody, RKO everybody, your mom, your grandma, your sister, your brother, just everybody, right? Just he's not afraid to do it, to anybody, and that's what we want to see. And that's, if it's strange, if it's weird to get there, I guess so be it.
Well, I think they're doing a good job, and I hope that's on purpose and they're not going to stray away from it, of basically acknowledging that Randy's getting a lot of cheers, even though he's supposed to be the heel here. People like heel Randy Orton, so they're glad to see it back. So he said a line about how everybody in the audience that did doesn't see something, or it was one small line that was kind of heelish. Mm-hmm. But I hope they don't lean too much into the the audience stinks, I hate your sports teams, that sort of cheap heat stuff, because. I think you got them right where you want them, which is Cody fans and Randy Orton fans having their own argument and everybody invested, right? It doesn't have to be, when you have that good of character and that good of character work, doesn't have to slice down the line of face versus heel. So we'll see what they do there. Then we had the Bella Twins take on Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Nia Jackson, Last Legend at ringside. Showcase some of the talent. Charlotte Flair was particularly good in this early on, and the Bella Twins started to get their work in once Alexa Bliss got tagged in. Ultimately, Lash Legend nailed Bliss while the ref and Brie Bella were distracted. Brie then gets the pin and the win. Charlotte's not happy about it, so she goes out there, starts pushing the Bellas around. Nia Jackson, Lash Legends get into the ring, knock out both of them, both teams, and then Lyra and Bayley come out to make the save. And then once again, before the end, Charlotte Flair is pushing over another Bella. So kind of showing, again, a lot of frustration even between the faces in this case as far as face teams. Although the Bellas were kind of heelish a little bit here as well. They can lean into that when they want to. But this is all setting up Lyra and Bayley against the Irresistible Forces. And likely, I think we're going to see, again, all these teams involved in a four-way at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think that'd be... the best thing for this title belt. Man, just let them have a ladder match. Let us have a ladder
There
match
you
this
go.
year at WrestleMania between all of them. I think, although Nikki, I don't think she could do a ladder match with her broken neck. I think, I think she had an infused neck surgery on her
Something
neck.
like
Something,
that, yeah. And she's the one that they're talking about now injured herself in this match.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see if she's good to go. It'd be a real shame. They've really built this around, hey, the Bella Twins are kind of a good, a good tag team to throw in. It's a legendary tag team to throw in.
Yeah, they went away for like a month and then came back,
Yeah.
and so that's something there. So yeah, that'll be good. Yeah, but like you said, Last Legend and Nia Jax, they're the heels. So they'll, and they're probably everyone's least favorite out of all these. But yeah, it could be an interesting time to see.
Nick Aldis then tells Sami Zayn he doesn't have a spot with him at WrestleMania. Then Trick Williams was right there. He did get a spot at WrestleMania. Sammy punches out Trick. We'll go out and play out the rest of this before we get into to what happened later in the night. Here was the U.S. Open Challenge. Carmelo Hayes and was going to surprised by Sami Zayn. They set it up. Maybe Tama Tonga was going to answer the challenge. Shinsuke Nakamura had just been shown on screen, but it was Sami Zayn of all people who came out here. Trick Williams tried to get involved in the match, throwing the belt in the ring. He accidentally hits Carmelo, which allowed Sammy to take advantage and hit the haluva kick for the win. He is now the U.S. champion and has a spot at WrestleMania against Trick Williams. They confirmed before the end of the night. Lots to kind of go through there. Of course, they had been kind of telling Sammy is the ultimate good guy. He was not taking advantage of these moments like Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton had done in the past. So learning from that, he takes advantage, somewhat of a heelish opportunity, but he does it. And so now he's got a spot at WrestleMania. That's fine. The problem is they've been telling, and they do this again, and they're going to do it again, is that Sammy is just wants to win the ultimate belt. He's done everything else. He wants to win the ultimate belt. And then here we are at WrestleMania again, and he's just going back to the U.S. belt, which again is fine. And a matchup with Trick Williams will be good. But I just hate, the lack of consistency there. And they've tried to tell it right by having him kind of veer off. And at least they kind of held out there. He wasn't going to have a spot at WrestleMania if he didn't do this. I like Sami Zayn. I enjoy his character. I think he does good as the kind of the good moral compass of the show even. But I just don't like the months of buildup that we have at several times. It's not just once now, but several times of I've got to be the world champion. This is going to be my one and only thing that I'm going after. And this is what, and then here we are again, another mid-card belt for Sammy.
Yeah, we just need to start calling him Sammy Hogan at this point because it's the same story, right? He's the ultimate underdog, like you said, can't win the big belt. So then you take away Carmelo Hayes, who you're finally building back up, right? You're finally building Carmelo Hayes back up to that number one draft pick. He's someone that's featured. He's been doing a great job with the belt. And then you have him lose to Sammy. And then the worst part about it is Nick Aldis, afterwards, Sammy's like, okay, now do I get my WrestleMania? He's like, yeah, now you're going against Trick Williams. And you're like, well, then forget Carmelo Hayes then, right? He didn't hold that belt for months and, help build it and turn it, help turn it into what it is right now. Because, rematches in WWE just don't matter anymore. I guess they don't exist. But yeah, it just drives me crazy. And I've never been a huge Sami Zayn guy. I just think he's ordinary, right? I'm sorry to say, I just think he, the ultimate underdog at one point was really fun, but I mean, he's had his moments, right? Intercontinental champion. He had the the bloodline.
Yeah.
Greatest moments of his career. Kevin Owens, all that stuff, but he's just the same guy over and over again. Just, ultimate good guy, best friends with the champion, wants an opportunity, gets it, loses, gets unhinged. Same thing over and over again. And now he took the belt, fine, whatever. But like you said, he always talks about, going and getting, the big belt. Well, this isn't a big belt. And he just took the moment away from Carmelo Hayes. And I know that's not always him, but, creatively, it's a little frustrating. And I'm not even a Mello fan. I guess you could just say I'm just not a fan of Sami Zayn at the moment.
Yeah, where they have him at least. And he is a good heel. It's been a while. Remember the Johnny Knoxville stuff all before the bloodline. So, maybe they could do a character change. And I thought they had him really at least positioned interesting. And it was interesting here. Like, I didn't expect him to kind of take that match. Okay, now he's forced his way into WrestleMania. I'm interested in Trick Williams. I think they can put on a good show. So I mean, I ultimately am not frustrated with where they went with it. It's just that it's just the Sammy kind of small belt position that he's in, and if you focus so much on, like, it doesn't feel like he wants that belt, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't even feel like like maybe he's too big for it. So if you say that to us, and then we'll believe you. And so that's kind of what they've been telling you. Now to go the opposite way with it is just intriguing. But I do think he'll have a pretty good matchup with Trick Williams set up for WrestleMania. I got to get through some of this other quickly. Rhea Ripley congratulating Damian Priest and R-Truth on the tag titles. R-Truth was back there, and he thought this was the Judgment Day again. So I thought that was a lot of fun. Rhea Ripley was wearing purple. She looked more Judgment Day-like than she had in the past. So I can't completely fault him for that. Ripley then calls out Jade Cargill, who comes out with B-Fab and Mishin after an awkward back and forth where I think a few lines were not done well by Jade Cargill. We had Ripley and B-Fab, but that was for less than a minute before Cargill attacked, causing a DQ. The numbers game catching up to Rhea. I don't know if you have a whole lot for that.
Nope, just Jade Cargill still gets zero reaction. Just zero. I noticed that right away. Horrible.
Yeah. That feud is not heating up, and they've tried to put, one of their hottest stars took her out of the tag division, and Ripley to bring her back to get a big matchup for Cargill at a WrestleMania. Now they're trying B-Fab and Mishin. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, and they might be running out as well. Other than maybe it wasn't a great idea to crown Jade Cargill as early as they did. Mm-hmm. I still like her long term. I still think she, is great physique wise and all that, but just a little bit green in the ring, a little bit green on the mic, and now she's got one of the biggest spots at WrestleMania, and it's kind of showing through. Jelly Roll had his first singles match against Kit Wilson, who was recently cursed by Danhausen. Kit Wilson opens up with a poetry from his poetry book. Ultimately, Jelly gets the chokeslam for the win, celebrates with his kid. I underline poetry book because I like that. If you're a character that doesn't have a whole lot going for you, right? You need to find your way in. You think back to the Attitude Era and different guys with different, you just get some weird object and carry it around with you. Make that your guy's thing. A poetry book wouldn't be my first guess, but I think that could be fun for Kit Wilson in the future.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't watch this segment as soon as Jelly Roll.
Yeah, you're not a big Jelly fan.
Not at all. No, don't like the guy. So I'll probably tune out of a lot of the things he does. But, for Kit Wilson, he's great. I like it. I agree with you on the poetry book part.
Julia and Tiffany Stratton, a very interesting one. But before we get to that, bruised and battered Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre set up for WrestleMania. They didn't do a whole lot here. Neither of them looked like they could fight. Remember, they fell off a building last week. But the match will be unsanctioned, no count out or disqualification. So I think that'll be fun at WrestleMania. Julia and Tiffany Stratton was an interesting one, mostly for several reasons. Actually, Tiffany kind of brushed off Chelsea Green in a wheelchair backstage, but Chelsea Green was telling her, I'm the two-time U.S. champ, so I can help you win this thing. Tiffany goes on to lose it. So maybe a future pairing with Tiffany and Chelsea Green, which I would love.
Yes.
Kiana James did the distracting on for Tiffy to lose, allowing Julia to get the win and keep the belt. And not one person, I don't think, stood up in the crowd. I hate to say it again, but there's just no buzz there. So we'll see what they do there. I think Kiana James turning on Julia would be an easy route. And she's got a little bit more to her at this point. But Tiffany and Chelsea Green could be great. The other thing that was talked about is just the scary swanton bomb that Chelsea Green landed on Julia in this one. Julia said, it was like right on her hip, and Julia said she peed a little bit there, which is not surprising, but it's scary kind of in-ring action there.
Yeah. When Tiffany did that was, you couldn't tell if it was a botch, new move, but it obviously was a botch, right, on that. But yeah, that was there, really bad, and two of your women champions get zero reactions, WWE. I think you need to listen to the crowd on that.
Yeah, and weird. Tiffany Stratton, and maybe this goes to WrestleMania, but after the years and a half she had, now look like, I don't know if there's a spot for her at WrestleMania. Again, you could force this. If you put Chelsea Green and Tiffany, we've been talking about Chelsea Green for years. I think you could maybe get something there. But again, is Julia the ultimate? Tiffany was kind of a minor upset she lost this to begin with. Yeah. So interesting to see if they got any plans for Tiffany. As we wrap up the show, Randy Orton against Matt Cardona. This didn't last too long. Randy Orton just pieced apart Matt Cardona, including stripping the cast off of his broken arm. Cody Rhodes arrives to the arena inciting a brawl that could only end with Jelly Roll getting RKO'd. Jelly Roll's got to be in the middle of it. for seemingly no reason at all.
Yeah, no reason at all to have that guy on. But you know what? Doesn't surprise me. Really doesn't surprise me with WWE's choices these days. This is such a fun feud. Cody, Randy, don't put a guy like Jelly Roll in it. There's no reason to. I know they're trying to sell to the audience. He's an artist, just like they did with Travis Scott. But we're saying it. Did they not learn last year? Travis Scott hurt all of that, right?
Yeah.
It didn't come out great. Jelly Roll's going to do the exact same thing. So please, WWE, stop trying to push Jelly Roll on us.
That might be your wish, but it looks like he's getting more and more TV time. So we'll see what happens. He appears to be their celebrity of choice this year at WrestleMania. We'll see what they've got on hand for him exactly to do. But thanks again, Augie, for jumping in, talking some wrestling here on a Sunday night. Again, Eastern next week, so we'll be out then, but then we'll be so close to WrestleMania in our next episode. So we'd invite you, to that, and invite your friends that like pro wrestling to listen to Nuclear Heat here on Sunday nights.